There are too many bad security officers in the security industry. Welcome to another 3-Minute Thursday. 3-Minute Thursday is my web series where I share with you the lessons that I've learned over 17 years of being in the security guard industry. Before Officer Reports started, OfficerReports.com, the best security guard software platform for small to medium-sized security guard companies, point blank, period. Before I started Officer Reports, I had experience hiring hundreds of security officers and firing a fair share of those. I'm pretty sure that you and I can trade some crazy stories about the things that we've seen security officers do. All you can ask is, why? Needless to say, I've learned some valuable lessons when it comes down to firing bad security officers. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that every security officer is bad or that even a majority of them are bad. What I am saying is that there are enough of them that they've done a really good job of giving the security industry a black eye. So why are there still so many in the industry? Let's take 3 minutes and talk about it. Generally speaking, there are 5 main reasons that managers and owners don't fire their bad officers. The first is that you don't want to go through the hiring process. I know. The process of finding the right officer can be a tedious and time-consuming effort. That's why it's so important to establish a process for continuous interviewing. Not having a good candidate to fill a post is not a good reason to retain a bad officer. The second is that you rely on that officer somehow. We've probably all been there, right? There's an officer at your company that you know isn't the quality of the officer that you need, but they're always willing and available to work that no call, no show at 2,300 hours on Saturday. You don't want to have to work the post, so you keep that officer on board. But it never fails. That officer starts to believe they are irreplaceable, and they start thinking that they can tell you how to run your business. You've been there, right? We've all been there. The third reason is you think it could be worse. That officer just isn't getting it done, but you remember that other officer who was like your worst nightmare. And they almost cost you your business. So you look at that officer and you say, yeah, could be worse. But that's not the way you want to be making decisions. Just stop doing it. The fourth reason is that you believe the officer benefits you more than he or she cost you, or so you think. Quick story. So back when I had my security guard company, we took over a contract at this healthcare facility. During one of the transition meetings, we asked the contract manager if there were any officers that we needed to keep. She said, no, but to definitely interview their sergeant. We took that as a suggestion that we keep that officer on. Well, we interviewed that officer, and let's just say he's not someone that we would have normally hired. Well, 6 months go by, and enough was enough. We had to terminate him. When I went to talk to the contract manager to let her know what was happening, she said, I don't know why you hired him at all. I wish you wouldn't have. What? She went on to tell us that the officer was related to one of the executives, so she felt obligated to make the request. It never fails. You put up with an officer for some perceived benefit, and it never works out. The last reason that bad officers stick around is that the officer had you fooled. This has happened to everyone, right? You think you have a great employee, but behind your back, they're doing all the wrong things and making horrible judgments. In this case, it's not your fault. It's your team's fault. On several occasions, I fired some security officers only for other officers to come to me afterwards and say, I'm glad you fired him. He was really bad. What? That always perplexed me. As a security officer, if you know that someone on your team is goofing off and is at risk of costing you or your company that contract and hence your job, why wouldn't you go talk to your supervisor or go talk to that officer? I could never really make, you're going to lose your job. With all this talk about bad officers, let's talk about the good ones for a second. So how are you recognizing your good officers? The ones that go above and beyond. Well, here's an idea. ASIS International is looking for nominations for the Ralph Day Security Officer Heroism Award. If you have an officer on your team that's gone above and beyond in the line of duty, this would be an ideal way of honoring them. Membership to ASIS is not required, and it doesn't cost you a thing. I'll leave a link to the nomination form below, but in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy the video, please click the like button below, and if you haven't already done so, please subscribe or follow us on social media. Thanks everybody, see you next week, and stay safe.